Good morning and welcome to Sports Central, brought to you live and exclusive on Spectrum Television, all the way from the hills of Ibiakran. My name is Mfoni Tina. Apologies for coming in a little bit behind schedule, but we're here to do what we know how to do. Today's edition of Sports Central will feature mostly around the UEFA Champions League, which came alive yesterday. Lots of goals scored. Liverpool continued their revival with a spanking of Spanish giants. Talking about Real Madrid, not a spanking though, but it was a dominant display, but the goals just stood at 1-0. We'll talk about these and many more on the show, but before we start, we'll just take a look at what's trending in sport wrap-up. Stick around. Thank you for sticking around. We'll hit the ground running as Novak Djokovic was tested by a familiar foe in his first professional appearance in Greece on Tuesday at the Hellenic Championships in Athens. The top seed, however, found his range to thrill the crowd and secure a 7-6, 6-1 victory over Alejandro Tabillo, denying the Chilean a chance to join Roger Federer as the only men to begin their ATP head-to-head series against Djokovic with 3 straight wins. In front of a lively atmosphere at the indoor hard-court ATP 250 event, Djokovic impressed with patience and precision for the opening set tiebreak before settling into rhythm in the second. The 38-year-old Serbian is into his 225th tour-level quarterfinal in 25 different countries. Having fallen to Tabillo and Claire in Rome last year and Monte Carlo earlier this season, Djokovic was intent on revenge in their first hard-court meeting, and he delivered. The former #1 player in the ATP rankings extended his flawless 28 wins and no-loss record this year after winning the first set, while also easing concerns about his late season fitness. Djokovic awaits Portugal's Nuno Borges in the quarterfinals in Athens. Now to Saudi Arabia, where the WTO finals is already up and running. John Christophe Farrell, talking about Coco Kokogov's coach for the past 6 years and off, has been impressed with her competitiveness in big moments. One of those, of course, was Gump's triumph at Roland Garros, her crowning achievement in a season where she qualified for her 4th straight WTA finals. On Tuesday, facing possible elimination, the #3 seed dug in again and delivered another impressive performance. The defending champion scored a 6-3, 6-2 victory over #8 seed Jasmine Paolini, and at the very least, will leave for another day at the year-end championships. With the straight set loss, Paolini is now eliminated from the Stefani Graf group, and Goff, at 1-all down, would play #1 Arena Zabalenka, who is at 2 wins and no losses, who defeated Jessica Pegula, who is at 1 apiece in the second singles match of the day. Now to the NBA, where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 30 points and 12 assists, and the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder extended their season-opening winning streak to 8 games with a 126-107 victory over the Los Angeles Clippers yesterday night. Isaiah Joe added 22 points, and Carson Wallace and Aaron Wiggins each had 12 to help the Thunder overcome an early surge by the Clippers to set a franchise record for consecutive starts this season. Gilgeous-Alexander, who played for the Clippers in his rookie season before he was traded to the Thunder, was 9 of 14 from the floor and 4 of 5 from 3-point range. James Harden scored 25 points and John Collins added 17 for the Clippers. They were without Kawhi Leonard with an ankle injury, Bradley Beal with a knee injury on the second night of a home back-to-back game. Now to football, where Alexis McAllister's second half header capped a dominant performance as Liverpool ended Real Madrid's 100% Champions League record with a 1-0 victory to inflict more pain on the returning Trent Alexander-Arnold. On a night where £100 million signing Florian Wirtz finally flourished, it was the diminutive Argentine international who finally broke goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois' almost one-man resistance in the 61st minute. Back-to-back victories for the first time since late September moved Liverpool into 6th place in the table. They are now level on points with Real Madrid, who failed to score in a game for the very first time this season. Saturday's win over Aston Villa may have been hailed as significant after a run of 6 defeats in 7 matches, but this was the real deal in terms of performance and attitude. That's all we have for you on Sport Wrap-Up this morning, but would have a very exciting conversation just after the break. Stick around.
Get ready for the exciting showdown, the biggest names, the toughest competition, and the most thrilling moments. From the gridiron to hardwood and from the pitch to the track. Join us for Sports Central, the most electrifying sports program on television, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Spectrum Television. Sports Central, your home for sports.
your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. We are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Risk on your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further enquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Always a fantastic time to be back talking about the best of stories in the world of sports at a Sports Central. And my name is Blind Rukim. The guys are seated on the table of greatness ready for this one. A multiple talking point, a multiplicity of observation. One of the key talking points would center around the Champions League. Today's game as well as yesterday's game. Liverpool getting the better of Real Madrid. The first loss for Liverpool, rather first win for Liverpool when Vinicius Jr. gets to play and denying Vinicius Jr. that opportunity. He's played 5 times and he scored 5 times against Liverpool, but yesterday he couldn't do it. Also, we'll talk about the world of tennis. In the world of tennis then, we'll be going to Athens, looking at all the competition, the Marseille, all competition also taking place, and other outlook that comes with it. The world of NBA also being very important. And part of the conversation today, many teams are preparing in football perspective towards the playoffs, the World Cup qualifiers, playoffs. We'll also touch in that direction. Good morning, guys. So good to see you today. To David, good morning. How are you today?
Exciting morning to return. Of course, quite a weighty morning this right here, but we're back at it once again, returning after the UEFA Champions League last night. I think I was quite delighted by the issue of Liverpool against Real Madrid. Not quite expected, but I think to a large extent, they've actually given their fans at least something to cheer for.
Well, at Anfield, it bubbled one way or the other. I think the peak of it was when Trent Alexander-Arnold came in. The Liverpool fans were cheering Steve Gerrard instead and sending a message to him and booing him. Good morning, Fon. So good to see you. Well, no booze for you.
Well, I think yesterday's Liverpool-Madrid game had a lot of talking points for me. One, Conor Bradley shown on that night, and Trent Alexander-Arnold suffered with Real Madrid. So almost like Liverpool fans finally have closure on a day where Alexander-Arnold returned. We also saw, just like I've always talked about, Liverpool went back to that midfield pairing of what worked for them last season. For the past 2 matches, they've won games. Looks like I just had the solution for Arne Slot all along, and he finally went back to it. He's won 2 games on the stretch now against Madrid and Aston Villa, 2 top teams. He should have never changed that midfield.
All right, I should have changed the midfield. Front Vitz had to start from a far left early in the game. Basically what it is, Mo Salah seemed to be a bright Mo Salah that we used to know and not really struggling. Well, let's start a conversation from the world of tennis and draft into the world of basketball. Well, it would be in Athens now. We're talking about the likes of Novak Djokovic stopping Tabellos in a streak on Greece debut. He's not really featured in Greece, but making a debut in Greece now and getting a number right against Tabello. To start with you. Yeah. Novak Djokovic, a big personality, but when it has to do with this particular game, adding up the number, Tabello wasn't going to be a stumbling block for him.
Well, it's always surprising, most especially when a particular player is on a winning streak. And the men who expect it continues, but then you're facing Novak Djokovic, quite an experienced, player as well. Prior to this particular tournament, I never even expected, Novak Djokovic to be here, owing to the very fact that in recent times it has been about the selection of, important tournaments where he's also participating as well. But I could also understand the fact that the Body Masters 1000 title, of course, the man wasn't, of course, showing quite a brilliant performance over there. So that's why he's also being right here and continuing to, put himself back on track. He really wants to play next year. From every, of course, signals we're getting at the moment for Novak Djokovic. And just like I've always said, one more title for the man, could be Grand Slam, and maybe that's when he will finally say he's not playing anymore. But for now, he keeps going.
Well, he gets to win a Grand Slam. It would be surprising because he's having the likes of Yannick Sinner waiting for him and the likes of Carlos Alcaraz also waiting for him. It's a gun of those days.
Things can actually happen.
Yeah, it's sports anyway.
Where you have maybe the likes of Yannick Sinner and Carlos, yes, maybe one of them being injured while the other being knocked out.
In a Grand Slam.
Yeah, it happens.
It could happen, but it would be surprising to get that happen anywhere. While other games that took place, and talking about the Hellenic Open, the championship in Athens, we saw the likes of Nuno Borges, the Portugal international, getting the better of an American in this regard. Spizziri losing the first set, 7-5, but got a victory in the second and the third set, 6-3, 6-4. Sebastian Korda also beating the opening Zumhor, losing the first set. I don't know if it's a tradition. They're losing the first set and going on to win the second and third. 6-3, 6-3 in the second and third set. Yannick Hoffman also absolutely fantastic against Ivanovic. Ivanovic, forgive me in that. 6-4, 6-2. And we're talking about Giron, the United States player, beating Martinez 6-4, 6-1. Well, Echeverry, the Argentine international, also getting the better of McDonald from the United States of America after losing the first set, but going all the way to win the second, 7-6, and the third, 6-3 in that direction. Quickly, still in the world of tennis, we're talking about the Marseille Open. The likes of Senegal overcoming fourth seed Kabbalah in that regard, and Cameron Norrie dispatching home favorite Kazakh to advance even further. One funny thing, now let's talk about Cameron from Norrie before I get a look at basketball stories. Well, it seemed like towards the end of the year he's kind of rejuvenated. Remember the other tournament getting better of top open in Carlos Alcaraz.
And losing to Valentin Vacharov.
Yeah, Vacharov seemed to be in the form of his life. Anyone can lose to Vacharov now. It's almost surprising to anybody. But he's adding up the number. And before now, we never really heard, beginning of the year, I never really heard about Cameron Norrie. I know he was injured at some point, but being back at this level, a good start from Cameron Norrie.
Well, I would say yes. He's trying to revitalize his career. I think the most important thing is ending the year on a high note, because if you end the year probably in the top 20, you have a good chance of to start the next year on a high note. For likes of Cameron Norrie, he's used to being the most talked about British international, but this year Jack Draper came up.
You saw him
exactly, and now Jack Draper is the British #1, and he has to make good with being British #2. But if he continues in this form, I think towards the next year we might get to see him get to compete against the very best. If he can defeat Carlos Alcaraz, he can defeat anybody. That's just the thing, because Carlos Alcaraz is one of the biggest tennis superstars on the planet at the moment. So for Cameron Norrie, it's all about maintaining this form, keeping the momentum, and next year we'll see what it holds for him.
And next year we'll see what holds for Cameron Norrie even further when it has to do with the world of tennis. And quickly, before I get to talk about basketball stories, it will be the WTA finals. Guys, I know you guys have been following proceedings. What's happening at the finals now? Coco Gauff getting better of Jasmine Paulin, the Italian international, in stretch set and staying alive at WTA finals. Similarly, we're talking about Aryna Sabalenka having to hold off Jessica Pegula in this regard to remain unbeaten in Riyadh. And what's really the energy in Riyadh, to David?
Well, it becomes even more interesting, because at the moment you're talking about Sabalenka having an upper edge of qualifying to the knockout phase, but later today would have Iga Swiatek playing winner takes it, I think, against Amanda Nisimova, especially because both players have gotten one win and one loss apiece. So whoever wins today will be able to qualify from that group to the next phase. And this poses question, especially for the top seeded players who are right here in this particular competition. Most of them not doing quite well. One of such have been, of course, Iga Swiatek, because many expected it to be 2/2 wins for her in the first two games of this particular WTA finals. But it certainly shows that Swiatek, we knew when she was actually dominating, the WTA world #1, is no longer the Swiatek we know at the moment. I mean, if you put your A game, you definitely be able to get the better of Iga Swiatek. Same could also be said with other players as well. But Sabalenka still stands out for me. I think the biggest threats for these WTA finals would be Sabalenka and the defending champion, the lady Cory Gauff. Both of them have been building blocks of consistency. And I just want to see how it happens, especially at the knockout phase, because at the group stage level, if you lose one match, you definitely have more chance of qualifying in the previous one. So the knockout phase, you lose one, and then you're exiting the tournament. So I think that's where it gets even more interesting as you go forward to the knockout phase.
Well, Faritina, what's your take so far, the WTA finals performance-wise? Who stands out for you? Otto David has really talked about Aryna Sabalenka possibly going all the way to the final to win it, the last bet to win it, and Cory Gauff. A son of players for you, and who you think might go all the way to win it?
I would say the WTA finals have also brought my mind back to what we talked about. I think it was last month. I said I'm not impressed with the WTA category. I'm looking at the women. They're not doing so well. They say go to the ATP scene. You have Carlos Alcaraz, you have Yannick Sinner, you have Alexander Zverev. If Carlos Alcaraz does not turn up to the party, he might be beaten by Zverev. We have Jack Draper as well. We have the likes of the US international Taylor Fritz and Ben Shelton doing things. But now look at this competition, the WTA finals of the year. We're having these women losing matches left, right, center. Only Aryna Sabalenka is unbeaten at the moment. It shows you she's head and shoulders above the rest of them.
But that's why it's a final then. Having the top 8 players in the world, then you can dominate.
Yeah. In terms of momentum, in terms of quality, they should be close to each other.
I think they're close.
Just like having the top 8 teams in the world top 8 football teams.
So you don't expect one team to dominate, one player to dominate
the very fact that
what is happening here? Arena Sabalenka is dominating against all of them. She's unbeaten.
Well,
she's not dropped a set yet.
All of those players have played 2 games basically in that group, 2 apiece. I mean, the fact that both of them are even losing one and winning one actually shows the closeness,
absolutely,
the level of competitiveness.
Arena Sabalenka is world number 1 for a reason.
I'm comparing, you know, these ladies and their world number 1. Then you bring it to the ATP scene. Everyone is very close together.
So, in other words,
you never can tell what happened.
Are you trying to say it's just end game Arena Sabalenka going all the way
she's
to
going to win it? She's going. It's very clear to me. She's going to win it. The closest competitor for me, I think, is Elena Rybakina, and the fact that she qualified for this competition just 2 weeks before the competition is quite alarming. I think everyone was starting.
Elena Rybakina has gotten how many wins?
Yeah,
she's got to know one.
But I think she's actually supposed to later today.
Well, I think from what I'm seeing, the standing 2 wins for her. Elena
because I know she's already qualified to the knockout
absolutely
stage.
2 wins. Iga Swiatek at second when it has to do Group B, a 1 win, 1 loss. Anisimova, 1 win, 1 loss, and Madison Keys has been the whipping girl in that group. And the other group,
she's already out.
Yeah, Group A, we're talking about Arena Sabalenka with 2 wins there. So yeah, absolutely. And Jessica Pegula at number 2, 1 win, 1 loss. So it's a bit competitive from both groups. You just have the guy, the one that is standing out.
Which is Rybakina and Zabalenka.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So some big names to talk about. It can get even exciting even further, but you cannot say that the likes of Iga Swiatek are pushovers in this one. That makes you in a knockout stage. You never can tell what gets to happen at the end of it. Quickly before you get to talk about football stories around the world, we'll do a bit on the NBA. Well, it has to do with Oklahoma City Thunders getting past the Clippers in this one. We're talking about Los Angeles Clippers 126-107, extending that winning streak to 8. Well, while the Raptors also had a win, a 3rd straight game in a rout of the Milwaukee Bucks 128-100 in that regard. Well, Atlanta Hawks also rolling past their opening 127-112, a victory over the Orlando Magic. Just like the Chicago Bulls, they're rallying from 24 points down to beat the 76ers 113-111. Steph Curry hitting 28 massive points as the Warriors defeated the Phoenix Suns. One final stat with you, maybe try to pick 1 or 2 games in this regard to really talk about. Well, for the Thunders, the form continues for them, clipping the Clippers, 8 straight victories it is.
I think there's nothing to say about the Thunder. They're just continuing from where they left off. 8 games at wins, so that's just it. I think it speaks for itself. Let's talk about the Bucks now. I think they're still continuing from the topsy-turvy season of last year. You know, winning and losing plenty. That's just it. If you want to be a top team, your number of wins, your win-to-loss ratio shouldn't be that close. Shouldn't be in close proximity. But the Bucks, I don't know what's happening in that team. They need to really step up. Doc Rivers, at the start of the season, came out to say, yes, he knows his team's not there yet, but they'll get there with coming days. But now, it looks as if it's even getting worse. They win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. They lose 2 on the stretch, and then come back to winning 1, lose 1. It's not really fair for a big team.
Not too fair for a big team for it to have spoken about it. But David, let's look at the 76ers against some Chicago Bulls now. I think it was a close call at the end of it, 113-111, but you have to give credit to the likes of Giddey, who hit a massive 29 points for the Bulls. But at the end of it, 76ers, I think consistency has been a thing. What do you think on it?
Well, I think it's quite disappointing because when you have a former NBA MVP in that team, and then you have, of course, another youngster who's doing quite well in recent times, Tyrese Maxey. Yeah. He's been at the face of that side since the start of this particular season.
Had a whooping 39 points.
Absolutely. And then
not enough.
You have not enough because one would also look at the fact that if, let's say, Joel Embiid had over 30 points and maybe another player has that, he would have actually culminated in victory over the Bulls in this particular game. Last season, it was a case of disciplinary issues for Joel Embiid, missing games through injuries. So I just, of course, expect it to be quite a different case this particular season. The man has to stay fit. He has to also be disciplined to play. He's the face of the 76ers. So if you're not doing well, what happens to the other youngsters? That's what it is at the moment. But for the Bulls, they were absolutely good. Bama Debo and the rest of all the players stood out, and that was it for them. So for the 76ers, they have to do better in other matches.
They have to do better in other matches. That conversation, just like the Phoenix Suns were thumped by the Golden State Warriors. We're talking about the likes of Moody also adding 24 points to the 28 points that we had from Steph Curry, making the difference. Well, the conversation really, I cap it up with the Thunders, the performance I had in the Starman. James Harden still doing the start for the Clippers, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and boss Gildas Alexander doing the magic for him. Shy being the man that does the magic. I rather call him Sir instead of Shy in this regard, because he's been in super form.
He's never
doing
shy.
What? He's never shy. It says it the way it is. 30 massive points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks in favor of the Thunders. And now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, the conversation continues on what we're looking at football stories around the world. One key conversation around the football world would be about the Champions League and what the teams have done before now and what they're looking forward to do even further. Don't go anywhere. It would be a conversation. Welcome back. It's still Sports Central. My name is Black Rookie with Tottehnam Funny still with me for company, all looking tushed up, but not tushed up alone. They're smiling a bit. Is that conversation? We'll start a conversation in the world of football, looking from a Nigerian point of view. Well, I missed the line. Football, here we go. And that's the line. And well, let's start a conversation from a Nigerian point of view. It will be the CAF Champions League, where the coach of Rivers United, Coach Finidi George, has come out to say, don't worry, Rivers United won't struggle in CAF Champions League. Well, maybe a conversation to start from. We've seen the numbers in terms of the draws, the teams that are there. The Moroccan superstars, I think the Confederations Cup, RS Berkane, they won a Confederations Cup. On the other hand, Pyramid Football Club of Egypt also being part of it. What's the other?
Dynamo's FC.
Dynamo's FC. Zanaco. Zanaco FC, Dynamo Zanaco from Zambia being part of this mix now. And the coach is saying, don't worry. Rivers United has got what it takes to win it. Well, I know we've had a conversation on radio. I said, well, they won't stand a chance. I don't know what you think. You tilt to the direction of the coach.
Well, it's basically about, the job of the coach is actually to sack the players, so irrespective of who they're facing. So he's actually doing his job. Okay. But then if we also look at it realistically, I do not think they stand a chance. Pyramids FC won the Champions League, the CAF Champions League last season. RS Berkane, quite an experienced side as well. So those are the two top teams.
I think they won the Confederations Cup.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
RS Berkane.
RS Berkane, yeah, definitely.
So playing in the Super League.
Yeah, so at the moment,
Cup, rather.
It's very difficult for Rivers United. I do not feel they stand a chance at the moment. Maybe finishing third in the group would definitely be something to look forward to. But for Rivers United to finish this group as tabletop is, I wouldn't say impossible, but I think they do not stand a chance at the moment.
I would say Finidi George is someone I believe in. I didn't believe in him when he was at the Super Eagles job, but now I think I believe in him.
What's changed that you believe in him now?
Nothing changed. I've always believed in him as a Nigerian football coach, a football club coach, because I think he knows what to do. He's more of a Jose Mourinho kind of manager for me.
Jose Mourinho?
Yes, he knows how to go away from home and block, keep the block in the defense, and then come back home and thrash you very well. That's what happened in the qualifications, phase for this particular competition. Wow. He went away to Mozambique.
I played against Black Bull of
Doesn't
Mozambique.
matter. We saw him against Black Bulls of Maputo 2 seasons ago in the Champions League. What happened? They got thrashed in Mozambique. But aside, who was... Come on.
No, we're not doubting that. We're not doubting the capability to win it. But we're looking the capability alongside RS Berkane alongside who won a Confederation. We're talking about Pyramid.
They are beatable teams. They are beatable teams.
Those are not African teams.
If Pyramids come to the rest of champions and Finidi George and his side put their house in order, they can get the victory.
Well, I love fun is a believer.
You get 9 points at home. That's enough for you to go to the next phase.
9 points at home.
Yeah. That's enough for you. You don't need much again.
Well, away games are there.
Yeah.
If you get 9 points, trust me, you're going to be in a good position to advance.
This will be Rivers United's first group stage game in the CAF Champions League. I hope we know that.
Yeah.
The experience will always count against other teams.
Well, don't be a doubter, be a believer. For the first time in a long while, we have Funitina being a believer. So who am I to doubt them? Finidi George says, don't doubt them. We cannot doubt them in here. Well, quickly also, let's talk about an injury concern from a Nigerian point of view. Looking at the playoffs that will be taking place, World Cup playoffs, November 13, Nigeria will take on Gabon. While the other game would be between Cameroon against DR Congo. The winners of both legs will face in the final bout of it. And well, a sad story from the Eagles camp that's coming out is the very fact that what's his name now, Felix Agu, the Werder Bremen defender, left fullback, was drafted to feature for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, despite the fact that he's not had a starting bid, had featured during the Unity Cup, but the Unity Cup was played out of international window, so it didn't count for him as a cap, but he's injured. An ankle injury. In October, he had that injury. So it means the last set of qualifiers for the Super Eagles of Nigeria against Benin Republic and Lesotho. And now, the conversation that